What's up, meatbags? It's the often imitated, never duplicated TonyTGD coming at you with March of the First Order, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that there will be nothing on the screen. The last video was copyright claimed by two random individuals, and because of the way the YouTube copyright system works, I can only dispute one of those claims, and that means if I do this video and this gets claimed, then I'm gonna have a whole big headache on my hand, and I don't want to deal with all that shit. So we're just gonna have this static image, my sweet, sexy voice talking, and we're gonna discuss this movie. Now, this movie was pretty bad. I actually almost fell asleep during it. It was very slow, very plotting. Some of the plot of the movie made little to no sense in the overall picture, the grand scheme of things. It meandered in a lot of ways. It, it, it just was not good. I'd give it probably like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 4.5 even. It's that bad. But let's talk about the overall plot. So almost taken off from the last movie, Rey, she's out there trying to get Luke to come back, join the rebellion. We got the rebels. They're fleeing from the First Order. Turns out that the First Order's on their ass. They're right there. They're gonna get them. But Poe, he leads his men into battle. They take out a big dreadnought. They are able to escape, go through hyperspace. Unfortunately for them, the First Order has finally discovered how to track people through hyperspace. They're on their ass, and now we have ships from the rebellion that are running out of gas. They got no fuel. And if they jump into hyperspace, the First Order will be right on them again, and they'll basically be sitting ducks. So the plan is to go really, really slow, and then that's really it. There is no plan. There's no, hey, we're going to try to do this, or hey, we'll break up into two different teams, and hopefully they follow one set of ships or something. Nothing. We're going to go a little bit faster than them, out of their reach, where they can't shoot us with the cannons, and that's it. Meanwhile, we got Poe, Finn, and a brand new character, Rose. They decide that if they can sneak onto General Snoke's ship, they'll be able to disable the tracker, allow the rebels to jump to hyperspace, get away, save the day. Everything's all good. Except they can't get onto the ship because it has super secret code technology that they need to break. The only one that they can get to break the code is Maze from the last movie, but she's a little busy. She recommends they go find some master code breaker on some casino planet. And so they trick Holdo, Admiral Holdo, whatever the hell her name is. And they trick her, allow Finn and Rose and BB-8 to go out and go look for this master code breaker. Now I did skip over the fact that during this first little battle here, Rose Tico's sister dies. Leia's incapacitated. She actually floats through space in one of the most stupid moments of the whole movie. Part of the ship blows up. She gets sucked out into space. She's frozen a little. Wakes up, flies back into the ship. They put her into the sick bay. And that's how Lorna Dern's character, Admiral Holo, that's how she ends up in charge. But anyway, meanwhile, while all this shit's going down, Rey's trying to convince Luke to come on back. He's still saying no. She's getting visions. Apparently now her and Kylo Ren are connected psychically. They're talking to each other. He's trying to convince her that, Luke might be kind of evil. He might not be the great guy that he says he is. She's not buying it. Eventually we do find out that Luke, in a moment of weakness, attempted to kill Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren woke up as Luke was changing his mind, deciding, you know what, maybe I shouldn't kill this kid. But he didn't realize that. He ends up destroying the house that they're in. Then he kills all of Luke's disciples, burns the village down. burns the temple, whatever. So we get that little backstory. We find out that Kylo Ren ran off with some of Luke's students that we never hear from again. We don't know who these people are. They're just gone, never mentioned again. Meanwhile, Finn, Rose, BB-8, they think that they found the code breaker, but they end up in jail. They meet Benicio del Toro's character DJ. He convinces them that he'll be able to crack the code, get them on the ship. They go along with him. They let some like giant horse things free, do some destruction in the casino, get away, end up in front of the Snoke ship, sneak onto the ship. Meanwhile, Rey, after having a discussion with Luke, finds out, like I said, about Luke trying to kill Ben. She says there's still good in Ben. She's going to make him turn back to the light side. She takes off. She goes over there with the Millennium Falcon, and they all meet up on Snoke's ship. They're on Snoke's ship, but they don't actually meet up. Let me rephrase that. So anyway, we get Rey. She meets Ben. She thinks that she's going to be welcomed with open arms. Surprise, surprise. Kylo Ren gets her arrested, takes her to Snoke. Snoke starts torturing her, telling her that, Kylo Ren's a bad guy. He ain't turning good. She wasted her time. The whole mind meld thing, that was him. He was doing it. He knew that she would fall for the bait. She would think that he was actually had some doubt because he stirred it up. He made it seem like there was more doubt in him than there was, but he's actually completely evil. But in a twisty twist, Ben is able to light the lightsaber that's sitting next to Snoke, chops his ass in half. Then for some reason, even though Snoke's dead, Snoke's guards decide, fuck it, we're still going to try to fight these two Jedi, Sith, whatever you want to call them, Force wielders. It was a nice little battle scene. Rey and Kylo Ren, they kill all these guards. And Rey tries to reach out to him, says, hey, come on, let's stop these ships being blown up. Come join. But it's not to be. Kylo Ren says, no, I'm actually evil, and I'm looking forward to being evil. Why don't you come join me, and we could be evil together? Because, you're just a nobody. Your parents are nobodies, and you can join me, and we can rule the galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, DJ has turned on Finn and Rose. He's like, hey, we got captured, so fuck it. I told him what was going on with the ship over there, the whole secret maneuver they were doing. A little earlier in the movie, Poe being frustrated with Holdo not telling him anything. He leads like a mutiny that ends up going nowhere because Leia wakes up, shoots his ass with a stun gun. I mean, it's all over the place. The movie is basically shit happens, but then nothing matters because some other shit happens that makes the previous shit not even. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm frustrated by this movie. It is that aggravating. And then eventually we find out that Holdo's whole plan was to get them to go to some base on Crate. They're going to go hide because it's heavily armored. But like I said, DJ has spilled beans. So now, all the ships are getting shot out of the air, the little transport ships that are unprotected. So we get Holdo decides he's going to take the big ship that was protected, turn that son bitch around, ram it right into Snoke's ship at like super hyper light speed or whatever the fuck it is. Cuts that bitch in half. This allows Finn and Rose to get free. Finn has a nice little fight with Captain Phasma, who has very, very little screen time in this movie. And she has even less in the next movie because Finn beats the shit out of her, and I think he kills her. I mean, she looked like she was dead, but it's hard to tell. This is Star Wars we're talking about. Meanwhile, like I said, Rey and Kylo Ren, they're doing their thing. He's like, fuck it, you join me. She's like, no, you join me. Neither one joins each other. She takes off. Eventually, they're all hiding at the base. Turns out that the First Order has a nice battering ram cannon that's basically like a miniaturized Death Star or some shit. So they're all freaking out. But they get some old ass junk ski ship thingies. And they're gonna fly it and they're gonna take it out. But right before Finn makes it, he's gonna crash into it, sacrifice himself for the rebellion. Rose Tico decides to crash her ship into his ship, and I guess you know, you know, trying to kill Finn with her ship made more sense than just letting Finn kill himself. They both survive because they are major characters, so they both survive. And Rose gives a little speech about we're not gonna win by attacking what we hate, but by saving what we love. And then she kisses Finn, and there's no fucking chemistry between these two characters, none. Luke shows up, says, "Hey Leia, don't worry, I'm here." He goes, fucking Kylo Ren goes nuts, sees him, orders everybody to fucking shoot at him. They fucking light the place up. Luke survives. Miraculously, he survives. So Kylo Ren says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go down there and take him out myself." Luke says, "Nah, you ain't taking shit out." Eventually, Luke does the whole turn my lightsaber off. If you strike me down, I'll be stronger than it, whatever. Fucking Kylo Ren strikes him down. And we find out that Luke is not actually there. It is a force projection of some sort that was there the whole time. Luke passes out from the stress, it looks like he's dead, but no, he's not dead. He just passes out a little, gets back up, climbs up on a rock, then he dies. So that was kind of dumb. He should just, the first time he flopped over, he should have just been dead right there. And then, that's basically the whole movie. It was very, very dumb. A lot of nonsensical things, a lot of things that didn't make sense in the grand scheme. We got Poe leads a mutiny, and then afterward, nothing happens to him. None of the other generals are mad at him. None of the other pilots are mad at him. Leia forgives him. There's no. It just seems like he's allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants, and even when it's bad or against orders, it's okay. It's whatever. There was some comedy in the movie. I actually thought it was funny. I know a lot of people, from my understanding, didn't appreciate the comedy, but I thought it was good. The beginning scene where Poe rather, flies his little ship up to the dreadnought, and he's like, "Hey, I want to talk to General Hux." And Hux gets on the line. He's like, "Well, what's up?" And they have a little conversation, and then Poe keeps pretending like he don't hear him. He's like, "No, I'm looking for Hugs. Give me Hugs." And then Hux keeps like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?" That was funny. I thought that was kind of funny because Hux is such a tight ass. You could actually see him being so arrogant to not believe that he's being fucked with, but rather that Poe couldn't hear him or there was some kind of communication breakdown. He didn't want to admit that he was getting played, basically. So I could see that happening. It was actually pretty funny. Like I said, overall motivations in this movie were weak. Plot was dumb. Some of the stuff that was set up in the Force Awakens was basically just swept over to the side. Didn't matter. Don't worry about it. What do they say? Forget the past, kill it if you must. That's basically what this movie was. It was just like, hey, none of that shit from the fucking, all that good stuff, all that build up in the fucking Force Awakens. This movie just shits it all out. It don't matter. None of that shit was mattered. So, as far as characters go, Rey doesn't get a lot of screen time, even though she's the main character. She don't get that much screen time. She's just sitting around. When she does get screen time, talking or trying to convince Luke to come on back, She gets one nice action scene, like I said, with her and Kylo Ren when they fight the other guardsmen, the Royal Guard, or whatever the fuck they are. That was a pretty decent scene. Finn, my man John Boyega, he gets fucked over royally. He gets friend zoned by Rey at the end. He gets pulls himself a new love interest, Rose. No chemistry between the two actors. No chemistry between the characters. It was just basically shoved together, forced. It felt like they were just trying to get Finn out of the way. Like, hey, I can't have Finn hooking up with Rey, so we gotta throw this other character in there so that way fans can just talk about Finn and Rose and forget about Finn and Rey. Poe, he was. I don't even know what to say about this character because there was no consequences for any of his actions. Starts off the movie, does this little plot where he's gonna go in there and shoot all the fucking guns, tricks them, tricks the bad guys, gets in real close on the ship where they can't hit him, and he's shooting all the fucking cannons off the ship. They figure it out way too late. That was his job. That's all he had to do. Then he was supposed to return back to the ship. They're gonna jump into hyperspace, get the fuck out of there. Poe decides, hey, we could probably take this dreadnought out. He orders his guys to show up, get the bombers, come on. Leia's like, no, we can't do this shit. But for some reason, despite Leia being the commanding officer, the general, somehow, when Poe says, hey guys, come on, we're gonna fucking blow this shit up, they all just jump in their ships and fucking head out. This made no sense. I mean, they don't show Leia giving in. They don't show Leia like, fuck, okay, whatever. You think we can do this? We'll take a chance. We'll go with your idea. No, she says no, but they do it anyway. It's like, does she have command? Do people respect her? Because it seems like they don't. Because Poe don't listen to her, then everyone else just jumps in and fucking does whatever they want. They go. The fucking plan goes to shit. All the bombers are getting fucked up. All the fucking pilots are getting killed. Rose Tico's sister's on one of the ships, and through luck, she's able to actually complete the bombing run and destroy the dreadnought. But the losses the rebellion suffered is so great that it's not worth it. And just like in the last movie, we don't get time to sit with Poe, to have Poe dwell on this, to think about, what, was it worth it? We blew up this ship, but we lost so many pilots, we lost so many ships, so much resources. Was it worth it? Should I have not done these things? Should I have maybe listened to my commanding officer? No, we don't get time for that because the movie decides that we have more important things to do. He gets stripped of his command. Again, like I said, that's the only consequence he gets in the whole movie. He gets stripped of his command. A little slap on the wrist from Leia, despite, disregarding direct orders from a superior officer. Eventually, he decides that, hey, Holdo, because when Leia and everyone on the bridge gets blown up, there's no commanding officers. They got to go down the chain of command. Laura Dern is put in charge, Admiral Holdo. And basically, she's like, hey, I'm in charge. Go sit in the corner and wait till I need you. And Poe don't like that, and he decides that's where he comes up with a plan between him, Finn, and Rose to go behind Holdo's back. Despite being told not to do this, they do it anyway. Actually, you know what? C-3PO is the one who tells them not to do it. They don't even tell Holdo. They basically do this plan behind her back. Which makes no sense. Again, if they maybe approached her with this plan or told her, perhaps she would have said, hey, we don't need to do that. I have a plan. Because that's part of the movie that makes no sense. She has a plan, but doesn't tell anybody. She's not telling anybody what her plan is. And it makes it seem like she doesn't have a plan until eventually it pisses off Poe enough that he mutinies, and he actually gets people to mutiny with him. That's how bad it is. That no one's respecting this new admiral, this new general, whatever the fuck she is. Because she's refusing to tell anybody what's going on. And it seems like she has no fucking clue because they're losing ships. and eventually just the main ship left. I mean, they lose a ton of people. They lose all their support ships without her ever telling them what the plan is. So that was dumb. So like I said, Poe, he's just doing his thing. Fucking caution to the wind, hot head, just fucking no thinking, no planning, just do. But no consequences for this. He never has time to sit down and think about what he's doing. To think about, perhaps I shouldn't do these things. Maybe I should trust other people. There's not even a scene where after it's all said and done, where he's like, shit, I fucked up. I should have just trusted, other people instead of trying to do everything myself, which is probably the message that they're trying to send. Is probably, the theme of Poe's story arc, but it's not delivered well. It's not expressed well through the movie. Kylo Ren, he just seems kind of whiny. He turns on Snoke really for no reason. I mean, Snoke doesn't tell him that I tricked you or I've been using you. There's no reason for him to turn on Snoke other than Snoke was hurting Rey. He likes Rey, but we don't know why. There's no reason. There's no anything. It's just don't kill Rey because I don't want you to. The movie's very bad at motivation. General Hux, I love him. I love this actor is really good. He pulls off that arrogant asshole, upper middle management type. Pulls it off well. Unfortunately, he does not become the head boss. When Snoke gets killed, he gives Kylo Ren a little attitude, but that lasts for all of 30 seconds before he's getting choked the fuck out. So, he doesn't really get any story development, no character development. He's just there to be the asshole. But it's fine, it's good. Snoke, we learn nothing about him. He shows up in a couple scenes, gets killed. I mean, that was a waste. I mean, at least something, maybe a backstory. Maybe, you could have showed when he was actually in, talking to Kylo Ren, when he was turning Kylo Ren against Luke. Maybe we could have had a couple of those scenes. Cut out some of the casino shit and maybe show General Snoke seducing Kylo Ren to go to the dark side. That would have been interesting. We'd had a little character development for the two of them. We don't get that. We just get him yelling, threatening, torturing Rey a little, and then getting chopped the fuck in half. Leia, she's fucking knocked out for half of the movie. No real character development. Again, she has magical powers. She can fly through space. I mean, I guess she's using the Force. I don't know how she knew how to do that. I don't know how she could get blown into space, knock the fuck out, not die, and then wake up and decide to use the Force. I mean, if, like, when they showed the missile or the fucking plasma bolt coming at the ship, and then you seen, like, Leia glowing as if she was using the Force to protect her, that might make sense. Then you'd have, she was using the Force moments before disaster. She was using the Force, so then she was out in space, rattled up a little, flew back in. That would make sense. But the way they presented it in the movie, she's basically like a fucking popsicle in space and then wakes up and unpopsicles herself and gets the fuck back in the ship. She has no character development. She has no story arc. She doesn't really do anything. Captain Phasma, once again, just created to sell toys, I guess, because she does literally nothing. It's like one big scene where she captures Finn and them, and she's gonna execute them. Then the ship blows up. She gets into a fight with Finn, gets her ass whooped, and that's the end of that. No character development. I don't know who she is. I don't know what she looks like under the helmet. I don't know why she's in the First Order, what she's trying to get out of it. She doesn't, there's no power struggle after Snoke or between Phasma, Hux, and Kylo Ren, where they're arguing to see who's the boss. It's just Kylo Ren becomes a boss, and that's it. Like I said, Phasma doesn't even enter into the equation, into the conversation. Maze is in the movie for a little scene. It was no, like I said, we don't nothing. Just really a side character. Holdo, I could see why people hated this character. It was She was basically a bitch. I hate to say it, but she was acting like a bitch. Sure, she was the boss now, but it'd be kind of nice to tell people what's going on. Hey, this is the plan, guys. She refused to tell them the plan. There was no reason for her to refuse to tell the plan if she had a plan. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we're all gonna die if we don't figure something out. Don't worry about it. That doesn't really work in a real world scenario, in a real world situation, even in a fantasy world situation. They don't know her. She's not somebody they're familiar with, someone they worked with. So her just being like, dude, trust me, doesn't really fly and doesn't make any sense in the overall arc of the movie. If she would have said, hey, here's the plan, and then Poe was like, no, that's a stupid plan, then you have a conflict between the two of them. Then you'd be able to say, hey, her plan actually wasn't stupid. See, she was willing to sacrifice a few people in order to save more people, whereas Finn, or Poe's plan rather, would have endangered everybody and had a chance for everybody to die. But they don't tell you her plan. That's why it doesn't work. That's why the storytelling fails, because you don't know her plan. And then after it's all said and done and they're putting people on transport ships, she pulls a 180 and she's like, no, I'm not a bitch. I actually kind of like Poe. He's cool, and I'm going to go sacrifice myself for everybody to get away. I mean, this is not how you write characters. This is not how you make interesting characters for people to want to, know more about, to discuss, to talk about, to say, hey, you know what? That was a good sacrifice. That was supposed to be a moment where you're like, damn, she's fucking sacrificing herself for the good of the fucking rebellion. You don't feel that. You're just like, hey, bye, bitch. Bye, Felicia. DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, comes out of nowhere. Is he the Codemaster? I thought that, when they're looking for the Master Codebreaker, he's supposed to have like a little flower on his lapel or whatever. They find him, but then they get captured, thrown in jail. I thought at some point we were going to learn that actually the dude took the flower from DJ, or that DJ also had a flower or something, where he's like, oh, he really was the Codebreaker. But no, we don't get that. He's just a dude that possibly knows how to fucking break codes a little. Maybe he's good. They kind of trust him. They don't trust him. They end up getting captured. Somehow he knew the plan. He knew the plan that fucking Holdo was doing that no one else fucking seemed to know. Which makes no fucking sense in the overall scheme of things. Like, Holdo doesn't tell Poe the plan. Finn and Rose have no way of knowing it because they're not on the ship anymore. So how the fuck did DJ know it? How did Benicio del Toro's character know it? Give me a scene, give me something where he's looking out and he sees these pods and he's putting shit together in his mind while he's getting captured to fucking make a deal with the First Order. We don't get nothing, none of that. We just assume that he's fucking psychic or something because he knows, makes the deal, and that's how those ships end up getting shot. And like, again, if the movie had built things up properly, then maybe Poe and Finn and them would be like, hey, we brought DJ onto this ship. If DJ wasn't on the ship, the First Order wouldn't have known that those transport ships were trying to sneak away, and those people wouldn't have died. Those people their deaths are on our heads. We don't get that. We don't get no introspective. We don't get no personal responsibility for any of that. It's just brushed to the side. Rose, Tico, wasn't really much. I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining about her apparently. I didn't see any problem with the character. She was a basic character, She was kind of peppy, kind of upbeat. Despite her sister dying, she still had hope. She did a couple of stupid things, like when she crashes her ship into fucking Finn's. There's no way to know that you were going to survive that. There's no way of knowing that Finn was going to survive that. Your plan made no fucking sense. The plan made no sense. Finn at least crashing into the big battering ram gun, sacrificing himself, that would have been cool. She didn't do anything. She didn't take the gun out. She just took Finn out, and it made no sense. It makes no fucking sense why you would even do that. Other than that, there's nothing really wrong with the character. She's just basic, peppy. I mean, what else is there to say? She's kind of forced in there, so Finn has a love interest that isn't Rey. That's really it. This movie is really not putting me in a good mood to watch Solo. Coming off of The Force Awakens and Rogue One, I was excited. Star Wars was good again. I was upset that I hadn't seen these movies, that I waited so long to watch these particular movies. I was like, damn, I shouldn't have waited that long. The Last Jedi, oh my god. I feel bad for having watched it. I don't want to have watched it. I wish I could erase the memory of this movie from my mind if I can get my 2.5 hours back. It was not good. Like I said, maybe a 4.5 out of 10. I'm not looking forward to Solo. So far, we're 2 good movies, 1 bad movie. But the show must go on. We have to get through all 5 of these. March of the First Order continues next Wednesday with Solo. But you know how we do it here. Love, peace, booty grease. We out this bitch.